Hi guys, welcome to the video. In this video I want to give a quick introduction to an alternative way to make realistic design concepts in Vizcom. If you haven't already heard of it, there's quite a few new AI tools out there, and there's new tools now for creating realistic visuals and exploring new design concepts really quickly and easily. I've been working as a product designer for almost a decade, and communicating ideas is always an integral part of any project, and AI tools have totally changed the game. For years, the main two ways to communicate ideas were basically sketching and 3D modeling. Sketching is still the fastest way to communicate an idea, but 3D takes a long time. Now you can make a sketch look pretty realistic in just a few minutes by using tools like Vizcom. Vizcom is an AI tool which can interpret which kind of product or object you have in your input sketch, and based on the prompt that you give to it, you can use it to do a number of different things like explore new shapes and forms, make realistic concept images, and even make multiple different views of your product idea. In order to use Vizcom, you need to have a sketch for an input. Your sketch doesn't need to be perfect, but you can kind of tweak how you sketch slightly to improve the clarity and make it so that Vizcom interprets the lines better. You can use a sketch from paper, or to make it easier, use a sketch from Procreate. If you're using Procreate, it can help to use a pen that's got quite a solid line. I think this can give a better result and make it easier for the AI to interpret the line position. And also try not to have random lines or bits of lines overextending around the sketch, as it can keep these lines in the final image and it can make it look weird. When you're in Vizcom, start a new project and upload your sketch. I like to start in the workbench area, which gives a more zoomed out view of everything that you have in the project. Then all I do is go to the modify panel and give Vizcom a prompt. The result that you get will vary massively based on your prompt, and you're also going to get a different result every time that you hit generate. I've literally seen some people use one prompt, get a bad result, and then conclude that AI is trash and it doesn't work and it's all AI slop. But it's not. Volume is going to be your friend when you're using a tool like Vizcom, so give it a few generations and a few tries, and you'll see that the result that you get is going to vary a lot. The prompt that I'm using for my sketch is something like, make this sketch of a mouse look like a realistic gaming mouse, and then I'm basically describing what I want a little bit more specifically. So I'm saying that I want to use realistic studio lighting, use realistic plastic textures for the surfaces, and I also want a different material and a dot texture for this grip area. You can run multiple different variations, colors, and go in and change more specific parts of your image in the zoomed in view. One of the best ways that I've found to use Vizcom is to use it iteratively. This means by making one or two changes at a time once you have your basic image that you're happy with, and not trying to get it to do too many things at once. This way you can tell it to make one specific change and keep everything else the same. So right from the first few generations, I'm actually getting some pretty good results. And obviously you can see where it's using inspiration from existing products. You can easily kind of identify it's using the Logitech brand, and it's pulling some of the elements from existing products. But especially the first image, it's retaining my exact design really well. It's kind of struggling in some areas where I've not really properly defined these lines, but it's maintaining most of most of my design. It's just sort of mixing that with some existing products. So I'm just going to do a few more generations as well, because I'm kind of happy with this already. So I actually really like this one here. It's got some interesting details that I didn't really have in the original sketch, but I actually like them. I like the detail where the mouse button is sort of like a diagonal line. I like that. So just to have an example of how you can change a specific part of the design, I'm just going to make a few different variations of the scroll wheel. And to do that, I'm literally just going into the Modify tab and saying, make a new variation of the scroll wheel and keep everything else the same. That way it's going to know to only change that one specific area, not try to do too many things at the same time, and then literally just keep everything else the same. So I like this third option here, and I'm going to make a few further changes to that. So I'm going to attempt to add an LED to the outside of the scroll wheel as well. So just like before, I'm saying literally add an LED to the outside of the mouse scroll wheel and keep everything else the same. And on the left is not what we wanted, but that's absolutely fine, and that's kind of why you need to do a few different generations, because if you were to just do one, obviously that's not what you want. So I don't like that LED color is blue, but there's a subtle red glow coming from the inside. So I'm just telling it to make that subtle glow on the inside a light blue color as well. So I feel like I've got the design to a stage where I'm happy with it. And I just want to try and change that background to the background that I had in a different image from before. So you can actually mix two images together. So here I'm going to attempt to use the design from image 1 and try and use the background from image 2 and see what it comes out with. So it didn't really work as I expected, so I'm just changing the prompt slightly and telling it not to use the design details from the mouse in image 2. And I think that looks pretty good. Another really cool and genuinely helpful thing you can do in Vizcom is to make a new view of your design. So because I have kind of a 3/4 view of this mouse, it's got a lot of information to work with as well. So if I go to new view and click on left view, I'm just going to do a few generations of that and try and get a nice inside view of the mouse as well. So the result is just given to me. It's a little bit dark and you can't really see those details on the inside. So I'm literally going to go to modify and say to add more light into the dark area so that I can see the design details. Which has worked pretty well. So one more thing that I want to do is add a hand to the mouse. So again, I'm going to go to the modify panel and literally just tell it to add a hand model. And again, just see what it does. I don't want the hand to be covering the whole mouse, so I'm going to specifically tell it to keep the hands towards the back of the mouse and show the design details in the front. And again, that's a pretty good image. It's a very coherent hand. There's nothing weird about it. I'm just going to try and make the hand look a bit nicer. And again, I'm literally just going to say make the hand look nicer. Not really feeling that second hand. I think it's a little bit too nice. So I've got some pretty good images already. I'm just going to do one more, which is kind of like a product shot that you'd see on a website. And I just want to try and make the mouse float slightly above the desk surface. So I'm going to tell it to make a shot of the mouse floating slightly above the desk, like you would see in a website photo shoot, and to keep all of the design details exactly the same. And I actually really like this third one. Not really sure about the glow on the other two images, but I think this one is really good. I just want to rotate the mouse a little bit to the front so I can see more of the top. And that's kind of what I wanted. So I'm happy with that. Now, if you're a new designer or someone who never really got into a lot of depth with 3D modeling or 3D tools, you won't understand what just happened here and how much time that you didn't have to spend making a 3D model to get this result. Is it perfect? No. Will it give you an amazing result with a bad prompt? No. You need to give it everything that it needs to get a good result. And that's why AI won't replace people. It doesn't know what's good yet. So this is just a quick video showing this to anyone who hasn't already had a go with Vizcom for design visualization. You can take a pretty rough sketch of an idea and then come out with a convincing, realistic result in literally a few minutes. I'll be potentially posting some more videos about AI tools in the product creation process. If that sounds useful to you, then subscribe to the channel below. If you want to level up your product sketching workflow, I've got some Procreate brush packs that I've designed specifically for product designers and creators. The link for these is in the description if you're interested. I'm also working on a few more AI workflow related things, so subscribe if that sounds useful to you. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.